Check, check. Okay. So we, if you watched the ground school section on diversion, that's great. If you haven't, you may want to watch that video before continuing on to understand what we're going to be doing on today's flight. It's up to you, depending on your level of interest on learning this stuff or whatever benefits you, just do. On today's flight, I'm actually going to do a walk around on the aircraft. I'm going to actually get out of the plane and do a walk around. So I'm going to be adding that to tonight's flight. So yeah. So I got my checklist off the internet for Cessna 172. It's going to be used for tonight. It may not be similar to the aircraft that's on XPlane 10, but fairly close. So what we're going to do, we're going to get out of the airplane. So we are in Moncton, New Brunswick. There's an actual flight school here, so it's very similar to what it'd be like in real life. There's 100 low lead fuel here, and yeah, there's the Moncton Flight College is right here. Okay, so you're coming up to do your flight. The first thing you want to do is, as you're coming up to your aircraft, you always want to look around the aircraft to see if there's anything unusual. If you find a screw on the ground, if you find some type of oil leak, if you find liquid on the ground, it could be anything. You always want to be careful with anything you see that could be unusual, because maybe something fell off the plane. You gotta really keep a good eye as you're walking towards the aircraft. So you're walking towards the aircraft, and let's go ahead with the pre-flight inspection, okay? So before doing this, we did a weight and balance inside the flight school. We talked about what we're gonna be doing for the flights. I'm probably, if it was a real student, I would have given him homework on studying diversions before going up and doing it, and did a ground briefing on it. We did our weight balance. We signed out the plane. We signed it and we got released to go. And I got my pilot's license with me. I have my knee board with me as well. Headsets. So I got my headset with me. And we're ready to go. So weight and balance is checked. So we are within limits. Maybe on a future flight we'll do a full weight and balance. For this flight we will not have it done, but in the future flight you always want to do weight and balance, especially in real flying. With Flight Simulator we'll skip it for today. Park and brake is set, so we'll go in the plane and set the park and brake. So let's go ahead and brakes are on. I can see this light here. It means the brakes are on. Oh, look at this. The alternator is on, or the battery, one or the other. There we go. But the engine's not started. The alternator is connected to the engine, okay? The battery is separate from the engine. The alternator is how you get electricity for your avionics, and it's run by the actual propeller, okay? That's running ahead of us. The battery, that's a separate source, and it's a backup for when, and it's also used when the engine's not running. So, all right, park and brake is on. Control wheel locks are removed. So there would be a wheel lock on the control column, so that prevents the airplane from moving like this in the event that there's a lot of winds. If you don't have a control lock on, it can be very abrupt and dangerous on windy conditions. Okay, so the control lock locks the control column in place, and it prevents the wing from being fluttering and causing structural damage to the wings. Okay. Ignition, hobs and tachometer checked and recorded. So Hobbs meter, there would be, imagine in here, there is a little clicker for the engine, and it basically, the Hobbs meter, what it does, it basically is a way of calculating how much your engine's been running. So we'll say Hobbs start is 40.2. Okay, so I'm gonna write that down. And it's also really important to write that down because you're gonna have to put it in your logbook from engine start to engine stop. So it's to calculate your flight time. Okay, you have to calculate your flight time and then your air time as well. So when we take off, that's going to be calculating our air time. Ignition switch is off. That's good. Avionics power switch is off. Master switch on. Fuel quantity indicator check. So we are about half tanks on both sides, which gives us .1 hours of endurance for our fuel right now. So we are safe to fly. We'll get more on minimum fuel requirements later, but for today's flight, we'll just say we're good to go. We got 4.1 hours of fuel, and it looks good. Heated heat is on. Okay, so here's the heated heat. We'll turn this on. Okay. The heated heat is, see this tube here? This is our heated tube, which gives us, it helps us, gives an indicator on our airspeed. The reason there's a heated heat on an aircraft is you get icing on this instrument, you're going to get an incorrect reading for your airspeed. So it helps melt any potential ice that could accumulate in flight, in clouds, wherever. And the heated heat helps melt that to make sure that indicator is working properly. Avionics master switch on. Avionics coolant fan audible. Do you hear that? I'm going to turn that up so you guys can hear it. Hear that noise? So you hear that, that's good. So we want that, we want to be able to hear that noise and it's audible. Avionics master switch off. Static pressure and alternative static valve is off. Okay, announce your static pressure. An alternative static valve. I won't get into details on the static pressure for this flight. We'll talk about it maybe in a future flight. It's basically another instrument that uses, that helps record the airspeed altimeter and the VSI. And there's usually an alternative static source in the aircraft. So we'll get into that another flight. Annunciator panel switch test. So the reason I press this is to make sure all the lights are functioning, okay? If I turn this on, if I press this button, if I don't see all the lights turned on, that means the actual light is not working, which is, it's not good. You want to make sure all the lights are on, okay? If you are missing, I'm gonna write some notes for myself to review certain things. Static. Okay, so I'm using this kind of as a way to teach and help myself remember a few things, and I got to do some review. It's been a couple years since I've flown or instructed, so Pressing this button, you want to see all the lights on. If you see one of the lights that are not on, that means the light is actually, that light's not working, and you have to potentially get that fixed. It's really important, so press that, and then annunciator panel switch off, and flaps extend. So we'll put the flaps down. Heated heat off. Master switch off. Pita tube, test for heat. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the airplane and put my hand on that pita tube. There's the pita tube. I'm placing my hand on this tube and making sure I feel the heat, because we had the pita heat on. If you don't feel the heat here, then there's a potential that this is the pita heat's potentially not working. So you want to feel the heat there. Fuel shutoff valve is on. So I don't know if there's a fuel shutoff valve in the Cessna. I can't seem to find it in the cockpit, so we'll leave it. I know in the DA-20 it was, the fuel shutoff valve was right on the bottom right. Actually, you know what? In the fuel shut-off valve, I think in the Cessna, it's just the where the fuel is left, right, and both. In the, let's go in the plane for a sec. I think what they're referring, no, that's fuel selector. Yeah. Okay, back outside. Fuselage and empennage. Baggage door closed and locked. There's our baggage door. It's closed and it's locked. Rivets, check. Rivets are in the aircraft, so we're just checking to make sure all the rivets are in place and the structure of the plane is good. I like to, when I'm doing a walk around, is to use my hands as an aid. So I'm feeling the aircraft, seeing if there's anything unusual that I catch. Rudder gust locks is removed. So the rudders here, if there's any lock here, really important to take that off, because then you can't use your rudder. If not, it's basically to make sure if it's windy that the rudders are not banging left and right. So I'm going to remove that here. Tie down, tail tie down is disconnected. So if there was a tail tie down here, make sure it's off. Control surfaces are free and secure. So what that is I'm going to go and take my hand and move this control surface, and I want to make sure it goes up and down and it's free moving and it's secured. Okay. Trim tab, check security. So the trim tab, here is one tab here. See that? We want to make sure that that is checked properly, and that little piece, that tab here, is basically to help maintain straight and level flight and cruise, and it's done by the maintenance. So the maintenance spends this little piece here just to offset any aerodynamics in the aircraft to make sure the plane is straight and level. Antennas, check security. So check the antennas, make sure it's all secured. All right, the right wing tie down, disconnect. So if we had another tie down here, we would disconnect this. It would be like a rope and something holding it on here. Ailerons are free and secure. So we move the ailerons, they go up and down. Flaps are secure, so check the flaps. Main wheel tire, inflated. So we check making sure this tire is inflated, maybe check the other ones too. Brakes are not leaking. So if we see any type of liquid on the brakes on the ground, we need to get that checked out. So if it's not, then you're good. So fuel tank sump is sampled. So we're gonna go go underneath where the fuel is and press up and get a sample of fuel. We want to see a light blue color, and that's 100 low lead. So we want to have to see that for this plane. Fuel quantity check. So this is, I'm going to put 1 foot here, grab my hand here and take this, open it, take a dipstick that's in the airplane, put it in here, and then take it out quickly. There's going to be a line where the fuel ends, okay? It quickly evaporates, but you'll be able to see it. So go down and up, and you can see where the line is. That's how much fuel you have on that tank, and you want to check this one as well. Fuel filter cap is secure, so make sure these caps are secured. The nose, engine oil lever is checked. Okay, so we're gonna check the oil. Open this, click, take the stick, pull it out, and just check the quantity of oil. Fuel strainer sample. So fuel strainer sample. I think there's another, there might be 1, 2, and another place on the Cessna where you can check the fuel. And propeller and spinner check. So propeller and spinner check, what you want to do is take your hand and basically go around the propeller, see if there's anything unusual. So feel the actual propeller. There could be some a rock that dinged the propeller or something. It could have got bent accidentally. So you want to kind of feel the propeller and making sure that everything is aerodynamically correct. And yeah. Alternator belt check. So we're going to go look inside, and there's an actual belt that goes from the engine to the alternator. Again, the alternator is used to power the avionics in the plane. So there's a belt here. Make sure that belt is where it's supposed to be. So just kind of press on it and you can feel if it's attached or not. Air intake check. So we can check our air intake here. It's kind of cool going underneath the plane. So we check here, and we can also check our brakes while we're under here. Carburetor air filter check. Landing lights check. So I'm going to turn all the lights on in the plane, and I'm going to just making sure all the lights are functioning. So what I would do is I get in the plane, and let's go ahead and turn the beacon lights on, landing lights, nav lights, taxi lights, strobe lights. Pop back outside. Oh, let's go back inside and turn that. Turn that one on. Doesn't matter. This can be on or off. It doesn't matter. I pressed the wrong button. It should be this master switch. Okay, we'll go outside. We'll check the lights. Boom. Left, right. Left light is red. That's what we want to see. The right light is green. Flashing. We got this light on. And boom, we got our taxi and landing lights working. Beacon lights are good. So let's go back in the plane and turn all those lights off, because I don't want to waste any more battery, because that would be not good for engine startup. So we'll turn this off. And we'll also turn all the lights off. Nose, wheel, strut, and tire, check. Okay, so we're gonna check the tire. You can kick it, you can check the fuel, or check the pressure on the tire, visually inspect it as well. Nose tie down is disconnected. So if we have any tie downs on the front of the plane, we'll take that off. And static source opening, check. So we'll check our static tube, which is outside the aircraft. So let's go back outside and we'll check that. So I believe on the Cessna it is somewhere here. That's for, let's see if I can see it. Can't really, might be here. It's on the side of the aircraft, I believe. Okay. Wing tie down disconnected. Ailerons are free and secure, so I'm moving the ailerons, moving up, down, and making sure that it's free and secure and moving properly. Flaps are secure. Main wheel tire is inflated. Brakes are not leaking for the left wing. We're looking at the left wing now. Brakes are not leaking. Fuel tank vent open, check. Fuel tank sump sample. So we're gonna check, see if there's any light blue fuel in that. Fuel quantity is checked, and we take the step down. We got half tanks on the left tank. Fuel filler cap is secured. Okay, make sure this cap needs to be secured when you put it back on. Okay, really important for obvious reasons. You don't want this open and fuel spilling out during our flight. That would not be good. Pitot tube, uncover and checked. Stall warning horn is checked. So the stall warning horn is up front here. So I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, this here. Dun, 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 dun. You can check the stall warning horn by actually putting your mouth in, sucking the air, because that simulates a stall for the airflow. I know people do that on the D820s. That's one way of checking it, but okay. Land and taxi lights is in clean condition. Before starting engine, pre-flight inspection is complete. Passenger briefing. Okay, so I'm going to give a passenger briefing. We're going to be going out to the training areas near Sackville. If this is my instructor, I would just quickly remind him. He's probably at this point has about 40 hours of training, just guessing. So I wouldn't have to give him, I probably give him, oh wow, you're on the right seat now. How did I do that? How am I? Can you fly the aircraft on the right seats like this? Oh, cool. I can actually fly in the instructor seat, so I may have to switch over to this and practice flying this to get used to that. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so basically we'll skip the passenger briefing for today's flight. If it was a brand new passenger and it's never flown with me and he has very little flying experience, what I would do in this situation is tell him where the ELT light, I would explain where the first aid kit, the ELT light is, the hammer, I'd tell them if there was an event of an engine failure, you would exit the back of the aircraft. I would go over some other stuff, and yeah. We'll do that one on a flight where it's a passenger, so we'll simulate that. But this flight, we have a student who has some experience flying with me, so we'll be easy on the passenger briefing. Seats and belts are adjusted and locked. Doors are closed and locked. So we'll close the doors. Let's get it on. Let's get the flight going. How did I get on the right seat? I'm new to XPlane 10. How am I on the right seat now? Did I just press over it with the keyboard? I think that's all I did. Yeah, that's all I did. I didn't even know you could do that. Like I moved a bit over, but I'm completely over on the right seat now. Maybe I should do today's flight on the right seat. We'll see. I'm not sure if I want to, because it's like a different. When you're flying on the right seat, it's maybe I should. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out in a bit. Seats and belts adjust and lock. Doors are closed and locked. Brakes test and set. So we got the brakes on and we can test them as well. On the rudders, we press full on the brakes and then making sure they're working properly. Circuit breakers are checked in, so the circuit breakers are here. We want to make sure they're all in place. If we see any of these circuit breakers popped out, we press it in once. If it pops out again, we got to tell maintenance because there's something wrong with the avionics on that specific circuit breaker, okay? But if they're all in like that, then looks good. You can use your hands to double check and just have a look. Electrical equipment and autopilot is off. We will not be using autopilot for today's flight, so we're not going to worry about that at all. Avionics power switch is off. Fuel selector is on both. Fuel shutoff valve is pushed in. So fuel selector is on both and fuel shutoff valve is in. I don't know if there is a fuel shutoff valve in this particular aircraft model, so so we'll skip that. What I'll do, I'll try to get a checklist that is the exact C172 in this plane, but for now I'm just going to use this one. So starting engine. All right, let's get the engine started. So we'll go 1/4 inch on the throttle. Mixture's full rich. Carburetor heat is cold, would be pushed in. Prime. So priming the aircraft is basically putting raw fuel into the engine to help start it. The engine has already been running and it's not super cold out, so I don't think you really need to prime it. We had it running a while ago. Maybe one primer. So you would open it. It's similar to this lever, and you pump raw fuel into it, and then you close the primer. It's something like that. So I don't think there's a primer on this model. Not sure. You can't even do anything with these levers, so. Auxiliary fuel pump is on. So we'll have that on to start our engine, help start the engine. Prop area is clear, so we're gonna look around and I'm yelling clear prop. Okay, I'm gonna open here and yell that. Clear, so there's no one around. Always be careful when you start your engine that there's no one around the aircraft, especially around the propeller. Master switch is on. Beacon light on. Ignition to start. So we'll go and start the aircraft. My feet are on the brakes. I'm looking outside and I'm starting the aircraft. I'm letting go of the ignition switch. Looking outside. Quickly glancing at my instruments. We're all in the green. Oil pressure and oil temperature is good. Okay. Slowly rising in the green. Nothing unusual. Bring the throttle to 1,000. Auxiliary fuel pump off. Avionics master switch on and radio's on. So we'll turn this off. Okay, avionics master switch on, so I got my electronics on. I'm putting my headset on for now, and my headset's connected, so the student would have his headset on as well. Transponder is on standby. Yep, so that's good. Flaps are up. Amp meter check. So we're just checking this gauge here. It's showing a positive rate. This is good. That means the alternator is now generating power for the avionics. Okay. If I turn my alternator off, that's good. We want to see that. That means right now we're using the battery to fuel the avionics. So you can quickly check the gauge and do that in the aircraft. I like to do that check just to make sure that we get the correct indicator there on the amperage. Heading indicator is set, so we're gonna set the heading indicator with so we got a 040, 040. So I'm cranking this to indicate what we want, and I'm also gonna use the heading bug. I realized on my last flight that this is in the plane for the simulator, so we'll have this heading bug just available for us for whatever we need to use it. You can use the heading bug as a reminder of where the winds are. You can use it to know which heading you're supposed to be flying. This has a lot of uses. So. ATIS. Okay, let's go to 128.65 and record the ATIS.
Error. Error. Error.
Greater Moncton High and Information Sierra. 1900 weather. Wind 290 at 10. Visibility 4. Rain. Sky conditions 4,200 overcast. Temperature 2.6. Altimeter 2992. Arriving and departing runway 29. Advise on initial contact you have Sierra.
Okay.
Greater Moncton.
So I wrote all that down.
Information Sierra.
So that's the ATIS, Automated Terminal Information System, that gives us information on the weather conditions at the airport before taking off. So it's really important
Greater Moncton High and TL
so you get all that info.
Sierra.
Error. 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 Error.
Okay, that error, we'll just ignore that for now. I think that's TeamSpeak trying to connect when I put in the frequency. So we'll just leave that for now. I'll figure out how to turn that off later. Altimeter set, so we got the altimeter setting of 2992. We want to set that on this screen here, and it should correspond with the elevation at the airport, which is 232 in CYQM Moncton. So that's good. We want to confirm there on that. Autopilot engaged. We're going to skip that because we're not using any type of autopilot. But basically in the checklist, they want you to turn the autopilot and then take your flight controls against the autopilot, and it should disengage. We'll skip that for today. And departure and taxi clearance contact. Okay, so let's get her done. So Moncton ground, November 172 Sierra Papa. With information Sierra. So I'll pretend to be the tower at the same time. So November 172 Sierra Papa. And then I would say, okay, this is what I would do. Towers November 172 Sierra Papa requests taxi clearance to apron. I think that's apron 5 for the run up down there. Could be wrong, but we're gonna go taxi to apron 5 for the run up. And he says that's approved, so taxi Alpha, and I'm good to go to apron 5. Okay, so we're gonna let go of the park and brake. We're gonna move the plane a bit, and then we'll press the park and brake again. This, what we do, is the reason we test the brakes a bit and then press the brakes again. We're testing the brakes. We want to know that the brakes don't work now before taxiing at 10 to 12 knots, because if it happens then that's not good, right? So the brakes work, which is wonderful. Cabin doors are closed and locked. Seat belts, green just. Okay, never mind. I was reading the checklist before. Okay, let's go to the apron 5. So, if I had rudder pedals, which I don't have yet, I would be steering the plane with rudders. Okay. So I'm using ailerons for tonight. But rudder pedals, like right now on my feet, I'd be moving the aircraft with rudders. And that's steering the plane. And my aileron, depending on where the winds are, if the winds are behind me, I'd be moving the aileron with the winds that way. And say the winds were coming here, I'd move my ailerons like this. But for now, we'll just leave it because we need rudder pedals. I need to buy some, which I will in the next couple days or weeks or so. Okay, so wing right, ball left. The heading indicator is increasing. Compass is free and floating. Wing left, ball right. Numbers are decreasing in the heading indicator. Compass is free floating. So I'm just checking my instruments, making sure they're working. So we'll go and we'll do our taxi. Let's go all the way down to the other apron here. There's that one in Moncton is literally no one. So it's just down here. There's a down in this part of the runway. It's sloped down a little bit, so you want to maybe test your brakes. Okay, I'm flying on the right seat now. This is a little bit more difficult. Not difficult, but different, because I've been doing all my flying on XPlane on the left seats. as if I was in the student's seats, but this would be the instructor or co-pilot's seats. There's the windsock here. So you can see the winds are facing here. That's runway 29, so that's beautiful. That means we're gonna have a takeoff into the wind, which is what we want. Always want to take off into the headwind. And the run up as well, you want to do your run up into the wind as well. So as we go into that apron that's ahead of us, we're going to point the plane into the wind and we'll do a run up. Nice and easy. I would lightly tap on the brakes. We're going to get in here. So I'm checking to make sure there's no one behind me as I turn the plane around, because I'm going to be using a higher RPM. And we'll turn the plane around and we'll press the brakes. Okay, so it's good airmanship to kind of, yeah, make sure you do the run up so behind there's no one. Another thing too, I could have went a little bit closer and then turned like a sharper 360, then create more room, but there's no one around the airport, this area, so this will be fine. Okay. Let's get her done. So park and brake set. Cabin doors are closed and locked. Seatbelts are adjust and locked. Flight controls are free and correct. So I'm moving here. So I'm going right, left, up and down, and I'm checking, I'm looking behind the plane, checking my right here to see up and down motion. Okay. And the horizontal stabilizer. And then I'm also doing this, checking outside as well. Okay. So this is down. That's good. If you see this up, whatever way you point, let's see here. Just one sec. Can I go to the airplane? This won't allow me to. Oh, here it is. Okay, so as I'm turning the aileron this way, I want to see up, okay? And I'm moving the... Okay, control column. If I move the control column to the right, you want to see up on this aileron. When I go to the left, you want to see up. You want to visually confirm outside. If you don't see it up, and it could potentially go down by mistake, sometimes maintenance can make a cross correction for the aircraft, and that could be potentially dangerous. So when I'm turning it to the left, you're seeing up on the ailerons, okay? And then we're also pulling back, and you want to see this go up, and then when I pull forward, you want to see that go downwards. Just gonna make some notes for myself for review. Horizontal stabilizer. Yeah. Instruments are set, so we want all our instruments where we want them. We're not going to be using a VOR tonight, so we have 117.3 on as a VOR, but for the training flight for diversions, you don't want the students to have any nav aids, because you want to do you want the student to get really good with flying, looking on the map and flying using outside references. So you can't use you're not allowed to use the VOR, I think, on the flight test. And also GPS, you want to make sure this is empty as well. So we'll be just flying with the the main instruments here, and then by looking outside. Fuel quantity check. So we're half on the fuel quantity. Fuel shut-off valve is on, mixture full rich. Fuel selector is on both. That means we're getting fuel from both the left and right tank. Elevator trim set for takeoff. So we're gonna have this indicator a little bit below the triangle, and that's what we want for takeoff. This is it's a trim. So moving this up and down trims the aircraft. So if I move it downwards like this, the plane is gonna be trimmed to take off like that, okay? If I move the trim forward, right now the aircraft will be trimmed downward. So you want the aircraft trimmed for takeoff. That way, when I go and take off, I won't be fighting my control column, okay? Because it's already set for takeoff. It's gonna be nice and easy takeoff, and I'll make small trim adjustments. If I take off with the trim tab like this, I'm gonna be forcing the aircraft to pitch up to my attitude for climbing out, which is not good, right? So it's really important to trim that right there, okay? Okay, let's do the run up. So we're gonna go to throttle to 1,800 RPM. Nice and easy on the throttle. Mag check, left. So we're gonna see a small drop in RPM, that's what we want, both. Right, both. If I do a mag check and go to left and I see a huge drop in RPM, that means that magneto has maybe some gunk on the spark plug, or it's unserviceable. One way to get rid of the gunk is to increase the RPM and lean the mixture for a bit. So you can run it high, lean the mixture. But if we see any major drops, you may want to contact maintenance and just see what they recommend. You could probably talk to them while you're still doing the run-up, or you may have to shut the plane down, depending on what's happening, okay? So this is connected to the engine. So right now the engine's running off both the left magnetos and the right magnetos. Suction gauge check. I don't think there's one in the simulator. It just makes it sees that the air coming in for the instruments is working properly. We'll just skip that. Engine instruments check. So we're checking our engine instruments. Boom, 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 boom. Everything looks good. We're in the green here. Oil pressure and temperature we check. Fuel quantity check is good. Amp meter check. So we're checking the amperage here. Mixture set for density altitude. Carb heat on. So I don't know if this Cessna has a carburetor heat. I can't seem to. It might be this lever here. I'm pretty sure it's this lever. Okay, we won't worry about it tonight for the video. I should write that down actually and check. Future carb heats. I'll just look on a diagram and see if this knob here is for the carb heat. I'm not sure if it's a primer or carb heat. Okay. Basically, carb heat is used to make sure there's no icing inside the engine. So we use that to melt anything in the engine. We're not going to worry about that for tonight. Annunciator panels are clear. So I'm checking all these panels. I don't see anything. So it looks good to me. Whoa. Throttles to 1,000. Nice and easy. You always want to be nice and easy with the throttle. Throttle friction lock is adjusted. That's this piece right here. If you adjust this, it's easier to move the throttle. So you can make it more tense to move the throttle or a lot smoother and easier, depending on your preference. Strobe lights are on. Radios and avionics are set. So we got 121.8, which is Moncton ground, Moncton tower 128. We also have the air-to-air training frequency 123.35. So those are the 3 frequencies we need for today's flight. We can also monitor 126.7 on the diversion, but it's mostly a training area frequency out here. Autopilot's off. Flap set for takeoff, so it's 0 to 10 degrees. We'll bring it down a bit. Park and brake release, and windows are closed. Okay. So we're done for the run-up. So we have information Sierra. So I would call Moncton ground. Moncton ground, November 172, Sierra Papa with information. Sierra run-ups incomplete. We are in apron, I think this is apron 5. We'll just say apron 5 for today. I'll probably get a diagram of this airport if I'm going to be using this for the next couple training flights, just because I'm familiar with this area. And yeah, request taxi to the request to go to takeoff. And I'd also say what we're doing too. I'd say we're doing 2 souls on board, color code green. We're going to be going out to Sackville for 1.5 hours. Run-up's complete. Okay, so he might give us an updated altimeter setting, winds. He knows we have the ATIS, and we'll say he said to taxi Alpha, hold short of runway 29er. Okay, so we'll say hold short of runway 29er, November 172, Sierra Papa. So you always want to read back the hold short instructions. That's the most important. Read back on the whatever ground says. You can omit the other stuff, but the hold short instructions is important. Okay, let's go and let's go sit up on the runway. So park and brake off. So I'm gonna go sit on the instructor side of the plane for today. Actually, I'm just gonna do the takeoff on the instructor. I'm just gonna get used to it a little bit. I'm just thinking when I'm flying. I just want to get a taxi a little bit on this side, and then I'll probably maybe take off on the student side. Sorry about that. There was something that popped up on my screen. I had to. We'll bring the throttle back right away. There we go. Rudder pedals and joysticks are coming soon. It's a little bit challenging to just steer the simulator with a mouse. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot easier with actual rudder pedals. And I'll probably just get like a $40 pair of rudder pedals. Okay, we're coming up to holding short of Alpha in 29er. So we're going to stop about here. We can't pass that line until we get cleared to take off. And I'm going to switch over to Moncton Tower. Okay, so here we're probably hearing all the airplanes that are taking off
Error.
and landing. Okay,
Error.
and I'm gonna switch over to the left seat for now. So let's get over on the other side. Wait just a sec. Boom. Okay, I'm on the left seat. Okay, Moncton Tower, November 172, Sierra Papa, holding short runway 29 Alpha. Okay, so he give us an updated wind. So winds are 290 at 10, gusting 15. Clear takeoff, runway 29er. I'd read back that, clear takeoff, runway 29er. So brakes are off. I would go on the runway without stopping. I would record my time up, so it's 8:12. As I am going to take off, I'll write that down. I'm just gonna pause the simulator 1 sec. Boom. One thing I forgot to do was a takeoff emergency briefing. So I'll put a little box here. I just had to write it in the checklist, so I'm gonna highlight. I need a highlighter so I don't forget next time. Highlighter. I'll put a star or something. So the takeoff emergency briefing, I'll just do one right now. So in the event of emergency affecting the safety of flight, before our run up before 55 knots, I'm going to power to idle and land straight ahead. If airborne with sufficient runway, I'm going to pitch for 60, land straight ahead, and then apply full brakes. If we have insufficient runway, what I'm going to do is make small movements to avoid any obstacles and land straight ahead. Don't want to forget that. Okay, so we're gonna say also tower gave us a left turnout is approved to go out to the area in Sackville, the training area. So we're good to go. Another thing too, before taking off, we know we're going out to that specific training area, so I want to have my map orientated towards where we're flying to. So I should have that ready as well. I had my map on. It's just 1 sec. Okay, I need to have, I'm going to add this to the checklist. I need my map ready and just 1 sec. Found it. Okay, and then I'm going to screenshot. Snipping tool. Okay, what I'm gonna do is get this ready so you guys can see it, and I'll be making some new. Boom. So we got the snipping tool. I'm going to show you guys the map before taking off. So what we'll do, I'm going to show you what's going on here before takeoff. Okay, so here's our map. We got a VFR map with us in flight. Looks a little different. You might have seen some other maps, like in different flight simulators, if that's what you're watching this video from. You may see some other types of maps, but this one is for VFR, visual flight rules. So we'll just quickly look at a few things. We got the control zone here. So here's our control zone. So we're going to be leaving this control zone, and on this little area we're going to be on 120.8, okay, which is Moncton Tower. I know it's a little bit difficult to see everything from the map. It looks kind of crazy, right? So that's our control zone, and we're going to be using this circle here. I'll just put these lines. See this? We got a magnetic heading. So this is going to be really important for our diversion, because we're going to use this to get the correct heading for our diversion. Okay, so this and this is our magnetic heading, which is around the VOR. It circles the VOR, okay, on your map. So that it's got our numbers. So here is 030, okay, you see that number? 060. Okay. So we're going to do a left turnout. So tower cleared us to a left turnout. We're going to follow the straight here, and then we're going to fly out towards Sackville and Amherst. If I was a instructor, I wouldn't be telling the student where we're doing the diversion, but I already kind of I already have an idea where we're gonna go, but I wouldn't tell them. But if you're a flight instructor, it's like I have an idea where we're gonna be doing it. So we'll just leave it for now, but I know it's gonna be Amherst to Shediac. Okay, but I wouldn't tell them that. So that's. We'll go to this map again when we need it again, but I would have this map folded into the direction of where I'm going and in my knee board, like through the knee board here. What I'll try to do, I'll get some extra maps from my old flight school, like expired ones, and then maybe I can have another camera on the knee board so you can see an actual map and what it'd be like. But we'll do this for now. Okay, so we're good for takeoff. So nice and easy on the throttle. Full power is achieved. You can hear it. Airspeed's alive. Temperatures and pressures are all good. I'm looking straight outside towards the tree. And I would probably have 290 on my heading bug as well. So on takeoff, it's airspeed's alive. You want to make sure your airspeed indicator is working. Full power is achieved. You want to make sure you have full power in your RPM gauge. If you don't have full power, then there's something wrong with your engine. You want to abort the takeoff. And you want to check your temperatures and pressures on the left. You want to make sure that's in the green and working properly. All right, let's get our flaps up. And we'll do a nice easy left turn. I'm just going to do a 10-degree angle bank. And we're going to climb to, right now altitude's our discretion because tower didn't give us a altitude hit. He just said left turn, it's approved. So altitude is our discretion for the time being, but I'll level off probably at 2,000 feet. I'm going to lower the nose for visibility, and we'll keep turning. head down this Northumberland Strait. This instrument here, I'd be stepping on the ball. So the ball is centered, which is good. If the ball was on the left here, I would step on the ball. So I'd add left to rudder to get that ball centered. Okay, we're coming up to our altitude. So what we're gonna do is 10% of this number is when we level off. So if we're climbing at 500 feet per minute, at 50 feet, we'll start our leveling off. Attitude. Got our cruise attitude. Bring the power back. And trim the plane. We want nice and stable on our altimeter. If the plane's trimmed out properly, I let go and nothing should be... Oh, see how the airspeeds or the altimeter went down a bit? Make small adjustments. Okay. Next flight, what I might do is practice circuits on the right seat, just to get used to it. Just to kind of get used to flying on the right seat. Okay, we're leaving the Moncton control zone, we'll say. So, if we're leaving, we can call tower, say we're leaving the control zone, cleared on, or he'll say November 172 Sierra Papa, you're cleared en route. So he'll probably just hand us off. And we're gonna go to the air-to-air training frequency in here, so 123.35. Okay, so I would make my call. Traffic advisory for the Sackville and Amherst area, November 172 Sierra Papa is 2,000 feet coming up the strait, just leaving the Moncton control zone. We're going to be working 2,000 feet and below over Amherst and Sackville. And any conflicting traffic, contact November 172 Sierra Papa. Okay, so this is a busy flight school, so I'll be getting radio calls, figuring out where everyone is, so making sure we don't have any conflict. Other training planes. I'm actually keeping my altitude on this flight. Yay, that's good. First couple flights on XPlane 10, my altitude was a little... I'm starting to get used to the flying on the flight simulator. If you are flying on XPlane 10, and you know, one thing I can give for a tip is don't get discouraged if it's like hard to control everything. It takes some time to get used to. So, and there's a lot to learn. So don't get discouraged if it's, you know. But when the plane is trimmed out properly in your cruise attitude, we have a cruise attitude outside. We got a cruise power setting. We're gonna have a cruise performance. Attitude plus power equals performance. If I have a nose down attitude, I'm gonna have a nose down performance. Altimeter is going down, VSI, right? Airspeed's increasing. If I have a nose up attitude, I don't see the horizon anymore, I just see sky, I'm going to have a nose up performance and my airspeed is going to decrease. Okay? So set the outside attitude to cruise. What cruise is, if you put your fist on the top of the dashboard, it's going to touch the horizon outside. That's like your cruise setup. Okay? Cruise power setting on is roughly about 21 to 2200 RPM. So we got that. I'll add a little bit more RPM. So attitude plus power equals performance. Nose up, nose down, that attitude, this power setting equals performance. If I had the same attitude where I got cruise, right? Here's my cruise attitude. But I don't have the right power setting, I won't get the performance. This is not the performance that I had, right? I'm descending, my airspeed is, or my altimeter is, like I'm descending, right? Because I don't have the right power and attitude. I had the right attitude, but the power wasn't correct. I had the power, now I got the right power. Okay? Right attitude, it should give me a cruise performance. Look at that. Okay? Let's have a look on the, no, that's cheating. Let's go on our map, have a look. Okay, so Amherst is, we're gonna cross there and then go in there, okay. Small adjustments to, when it's all trimmed out, you're just making small adjustments to maintaining your, what you want, right? Beautiful. A little bit of light turbulence. I'm gonna add some turbulence. I'm gonna make it a little bit more challenging for the flight. So let's add some weather to this. Oh yeah, so we got right now the winds at 2,000 feet is 10 knots gusting 15. We're gonna add some turbulence. Let's go to 1. Let's see what 1 gives us. Okay, a little bit choppier, eh? Is this too much, or? I think it's a little too much. Let's go ahead and put put it right there. That's better. A little bit of turbulence. So there's a prison up here. I gotta be above, I think it's 1,000 feet above the prison, so we're good at 2,000. But I know that's on the map. It's roughly around here, so we'll stay at 2,000 feet. Amherst Prison. Alright, I'm gonna look and see where I'm gonna cheat a bit. Just gonna have a look. It doesn't say. Yeah, we gotta go. Just one sec. Over the boot and then down the Cumberland Basin to Amherst. So we gotta cross over. Okay. So if I'm using my map here, I'll show you. Let's pull out the map on the flight simulator. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, here's our map. So we're currently coming up here. Okay. So what I do, I was just kind of following this out here. Looking outside, you can kind of see for flying, we can use this as a reference. This boot is pretty obvious, right? Okay, so we're crossing over here. And then once we're here, we can go kind of in the Cumberland Basin. And I'm going to start my diversion over Amherst. I wouldn't tell my student that, but that's what I would be doing. So yeah, we'll go there and we'll get started. At this point, we can also lean the mixture is kind of leaned already. That's fine. It should have been full rich on takeoff. Yeah. We're gonna put the mixture full rich now, anyways, because we're gonna be descending and doing the exercise. This is how much. This basically controls how much fuel goes to the engine. When you're flying and you're set up for your flights, so let's say you're gonna do a flight out towards like a cross-country flight or whatever, at this point when it's all set up, you lean the mixture for best fuel economy. Because you're using, when I brought that back, I'm using less fuel, but I have the same performance or even a little bit higher. Okay? We'll talk about that on another flight. We'll get into that later. Okay, I'm gonna speed things. Oh crap! Cancel. I'm just gonna put the plane right over Amherst, just to speed. Okay, we're gonna move the plane right here. Okay. So we're flying along, and I would give my student the situation. So we got an interesting situation. We have to go fly to Shediac because the person, let's say we're a commercial airline company with a passenger, and basically he decided, he's the owner of the company, he wants to do some, take some photos over Shediac. And there's also really bad weather coming in out here, causing us to not want to go out to maybe Halifax. So we don't want to go any further on the flight that we intended. We're diverting to Shediac, basically. Okay? And we're going to go there, do some sightseeing out there, and then land back in Moncton. But we were planning to go to... not only that, the ceilings just dropped. The weather is now 2,000 feet. So we actually have to descend. Okay? So we're over the Amherst area. What I would do at this point is I would drop, okay, just a sec. I would drop 1 notch of flaps, slow the plane down, and I would get a racetrack pattern. Okay? So first I'd aviate first, navigate second, communicate third. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Always fly the plane first. Okay? So now we're in a slower flight. Okay? So we're doing a racetrack pattern. When we're turning, it's just nice and easy, rate 1. When we turn, we're not going to do the diversion. Okay? Or we're not going to do any of the paperwork. We'll descend to 1,800 feet. So next straightaway, I'm gonna pause the simulator, and we're gonna go ahead and we'll do the diversion on the map. So I'm gonna pick that road and straighten the aircraft out. Where's that lake? Boom. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys this. We're gonna go and okay, just imagine we're flying straight for a bit, and we got this map out. So we're kind of in this area here. More this area. So I'm picking kind of that highway and that farmer's field out in that way. We're not directly over the city of Amherst, we're about there. So, while we're flying on straight level, I got my map. I quickly do this in the airplane. Circle, circle. Draw the line. Heading. I take the straight line, go to my magnetic heading. We're on a heading of north. Okay? Heading is north. Distance. I take my pen and this is 1 nautical mile. 1 nautical mile, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So I take that. I take the line and calculate how many nautical miles it is. And it's 30. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 30 nautical miles. Whoops. 30 nautical miles. Okay? 30. So, okay, we want to get the time. So 30 nautical miles. 30 times 2 is 60. Divided by 3 is What is 60 divided by 3? 20. So 20 minutes. So the diversion should take 20 minutes. Okay? Circle, circle, draw the line, heading, distance, time, call. So we're going to do a radio call. So maybe I would change to the controller or the frequency of the company owner. Hey, bad weather in Halifax. We're coming up to Amherst. It's just crap out, and we're gonna basically go and divert to Shediac. We're gonna do some sightseeing photos over Shediac. We have the owner's wife on board, so she wants to do some nice sightseeing, and then we'll probably head back to Moncton. We're not gonna end up going out towards Halifax. Another thing I would do is also make. If you have to report to if you're getting flight following, you would let them know or anything like that. Well, okay, never mind. We're not going to get into that. Keep it simple. We won't worry about that. What we would do in this area is do another radio call, say traffic advisory 123.35 over Amherst and Sackville. We're doing a diversion to Shediac. At 1,800 feet and below, any conflicting traffic, contact us on 123.35. Okay, so they're going to know we're doing that diversion. Circle, circle, draw the line, heading, distance, time, call MFC. Minimum en route altitude fuel. So M is minimum en route altitude. We're going to look on our map and see what the minimum altitude is. There any towers we got to be aware of? We got one here for. I'm going to take a red pen so you guys can see this. Oh shit! Red pen. That's not. It should be fine. Or wait, I'll just use this highlighter. We have a tower here we have to be aware of. That's at 928 feet AGL. Sorry, pardon me. 410 feet above ground, 928 above sea level. Okay? Our attitude indicator inside indicates above sea level. Okay? I'll show you here. This here altimeter, that's above sea level. Okay. We also have a tower here we got to be aware of. I can't see the altitude because I put my pen over. I think it's like 300. It's close to here. It's like 320 or something. So we got to make sure we're 500 feet above all the towers to get our minimum altitude. So it's about 1,000. I'd say on this one, we'll say 1,000. We're safe at about 1,200. I don't think there's anything. We're going to be doing it a little bit higher up anyways. Fuel, do we have enough fuel? Yes, we do. We look over on our fuel indicator and we got about 3 hours endurance. This is going to take 20 minutes. Okay, so we have enough fuel to get to the area and then go back to Moncton. And also checkpoints. So checkpoints is next. MFC, C for checkpoints. We're going to go ahead and take our blue pen. So we got our halfway mark here. We got our quarter marks here. So I have 4 checkpoints. Okay. So we're on the tip of the lake. If we can see it, that's 1 checkpoint. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so circle, circle, draw the line, heading, distance, time. Call MFC, and your compass will be fine. I'm looking at my compass and looking at the heading indicator, making sure it's reading the same. I'm doing that while flying straight and level. Okay? And that's it. I'd be doing all this while flying an aircraft. It's actually a lot of work. When I was getting my pilot's license, this exercise was pretty challenging, I found. Because you're doing all this navigation, all this figuring out on your knee board, right? With your map while flying an airplane. maintaining altitude and all that's like additional stress, right? So it's really important if you are to do this flight, it's like practice this as much as you can, get really efficient with this part of it while you're on the ground, because doing this while flying in a plane, doing radio calls, dealing with your instructor, all that is a lot of workload. Okay? So we should be here at 10 minutes, okay? We should be here at 5, and this should be 15 minutes. Also, notice we're getting really close to the control zone here, right? So this is one thing we have to be very vigilant of, is not to cross in this area here. Wait, let's get a friggin' red. Let's get a red pen. This area, we're getting close to Moncton control zone. See that? What I would do here, what about here? I'd probably make a radio call. I would tell Moncton Tower we're doing a diversion to Shediac. We might be on your edge of your control zone. And he'd probably say, okay, you can stay on my frequency for now. Or he says, roger that, you switch over. It would be up to him at that point. Okay? So let's go back in the plane and we'll do our diversion and we'll go from there. On pause. Okay, so let's get our, we set our compass with our heading indicator. We're going to go to a heading up north because that's what we figured out. So we'll point the plane in a northerly direction. And we'd start our timer. And flaps to cruise. And it's bumpy here. So not below 2,000 feet. So we're gonna go to 1,800. The lower you go on this exercise, the more difficult it is. Because when you're lower to the ground, it's a little bit more challenging to navigate. So I'm gonna make this difficult and go to 1,800. It could get worse. When I was getting my pilot's license, like my instructor brought me pretty low on this exercise. And he can bring you, like if you're 500 feet above ground, level at all times, and you're not around any unpopulated areas, you can go that low. So the timer didn't start. Come on. There you go. So my estimate time of arrival will be 9:10 p.m. my time, looking at my clock or my watch in the plane. But in the flight simulator, I'm doing this at night. It would be realistically, I think it's like 6 o'clock in the flight simulator, so you could say 6:20 or something like that, local. There's local time in Zulu, right? So for flying, we'll say 6:20 local. It's pretty choppy. It makes the turbulence, I think, is when you go lower, it's a little bit more choppier. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. Let's put some weather. We're gonna put the ceilings at 2,000. Oh, it is at 2,000. No, that's the wind layer. Cloud. Cloud bases are only at 4,000. Let's go to 2,000. Let's go to 2,000. Mean sea level. All right. Makes it a little bit more difficult. If only an instructor could do that in real life, right? So we got the Cumberland Lake there. There's a highway, farmer's field. We're checking that area out. So I'm looking at my map, right? I'm looking for references, towns, towers, lakes, this highway here. Okay, I'm also seeing the lake out there. I'm seeing the lines. The lines on the lakes are very, see those lines down there? They're really easy to see on the map, right? So lakes are really good for references. There's a highway there. Pause simulator, so we got the lakes here. Highway 1 there. Okay. Just looking at the map quickly. Lakes there, Highway 1. Perfect. So I see that highway on the map. I'm gonna show you guys so you can see. I'll keep doing better at getting it easier for you guys to see. Like here, okay, so here is, this red line here is the highway that I saw in the air, and that was to our left, right? And then we just saw, yeah, we saw some road, okay, we saw the highway there, so that's what we want to see. Okay, so we're looking for maybe that lake next, because there's not much in this area. There's not too much for, it's a lot of, yeah, there's not too much here. And then you're gonna start seeing, we're gonna start seeing these lines here, and then yeah, we'll go straight through here to the control zone. I could cheat and go direct to the VOR, but I'm not going to. Because that the VOR is right over that area. We're not gonna cheat. No cheating. Notice on my GPS it's blank. I'm not looking at a GPS. I am kind of looking on the simulator a bit, but in real life you don't wanna do that. Just want to check something. Okay, we're recording good. I used to get really, as a student, I used to get really nervous on this flight, low to the ground, when I'm not sure, like, because this part I'm coming up is just all trees, right? And if you get lower, it gets, the visibility is crap, right? You really have to depend. I'm gonna go a little bit lower to make it even more difficult. Like you can, if you want to make this really tough on a student, get them to go really low. Like find an area that's like, and safe too. You got to make sure there's like no towers and stuff, but we'll go a little lower here. It's like an oh crap feeling. But trust your heading. Trust it. And if you and trust your references too, and just look at your map and making sure. So we're past our first quarter checkpoint. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 in total. Like look in front of me, all you see is trees, right? Look at that, cloud layer, trees. This part can be kind of the oh crap feeling. So yeah. It's kind of a dead area for the diversion. Just maintain your heading. If you get off track, you can always readjust, right? And you can also readjust your estimate time of arrival too. So we hit our checkpoints. When we hit our checkpoints on the map, we should be changing our ETA, estimate time of arrival. I said it was 20 minutes, so another 10 minutes from now, it'll be 9, about 9:12, 9:13 on my computer. I really want to run this whole diversion through and not like fast forward this part because I want you guys to see how accurate doing this exercise is. One random road, that lake out there. Oof. See? You see out there? Just crap visibility. So I'm just looking at my map. I think that one lake is on the map somewhere, but we'll just keep our heading. We're also 10 minutes in. I'd make a last maybe radio call out here in the area. Well, I made one going from Amherst to Shediac, and no one radioed me. So at this point, I would probably switch over to Moncton.
Error.
I'm gonna switch over to Moncton ground, or Moncton Tower. Moncton Tower, November 172 Sierra is doing a diversion from Amherst to Shediac at 1,800 feet to 2,000 feet. We're just gonna be at the edge of your control zone, just to let you know. And then my transponder should have been set to on. I didn't do that. Where in the checklist is the transponder? It should be right before takeoff. Yeah, I missed that. Transponder alt. One reason I think I might have forgot, one reason that, yeah, always follow your checklist, but what happens in the other planes I train with, the transponder automatically switched to altitude on the GPS, which was pretty convenient. So my first plane that I trained in, as soon as you take off, your transponder automatically switches over to alt. What that does, here, I'll pause this. What this is here, 4700, and it says transponder here. This instrument here is what the controller sees, 4700, and when you go to exponder here, it reads your altimeter. So it's on standby. Once you're clear to take off, you switch over to that. If you forget, then often the controls, the tower will tell you to switch it on. That lake there. Pause and simulator. I'm looking on my map at that lake. What kind of lake is that? Alright. So the winds on the ground were 290, so we got pushed over a little bit, and I didn't correct it during the cross country, so that shows us why we're a little bit off from our point of Shediac, but we just adjust. Tell, if we're on a flight test, tell the examiner we're going to give you a new heading. We're pretty close though. Maybe 320. So we got pushed over from the winds, and I didn't correct it properly. I should have found small landmarks to adjust, but so I think you have to be within, I forget, I can't remember, but you have to be within a certain tolerance for. But I think if you correct for it, it's okay. You know, like as long as you catch it and correct it or something. I can't remember. That's okay. So if we look on our map, yeah, we got pushed over from the winds. The winds were 290. That pushed us over a bit. We're like 6 miles off. I'll show you guys on the map where we are. Oh, you guys saw that. Okay. Yeah, we're like over here. The way I know, there's the two lakes here. We also have the highway running this way to Shediac. So basically at this point, we're a little bit off course, and I would readjust my heading, if it was on a flight test, let the examiner know. But in a real diversion, it's pretty easy now. All we gotta do from here to here is follow this highway, and we'll make it to Shediac. Pretty easy to follow. Okay. What I probably should have done is I should have caught this. Like, let's say I was flying over this lake and I caught it early on, then I could have readjust my heading to maybe 250 to keep track. First, I would have to double the air to get back on track, and then readjust to 250. Okay. Sorry, 350. All right, so the winds are pushing us a bit, but that's fine. Let's get rid of this. This shouldn't be here. Our ETA, or estimate time en route for 20 minutes, is going to be pretty accurate. We're going to get there around 4 minutes, I'd say. So right now we got 16 minutes so far on the diversion. Now it's easy, I just follow this road in here. for a sec. Look what we are coming up to. We have the city of Shediac. Look at this. We're going to get there exactly at the estimated time of arrival. That's fantastic. We'll arrive right over the city of Shediac at 20 minutes. That's how accurate the system works. The only thing I needed to improve on in this flight is the winds. I didn't adjust for winds and I got pushed over by the ground winds. Right? So my heading of north was working, except I didn't take into factor the winds. And I could have predicted that, and I should have. I should have said, you know what? I know the winds are coming from the west 290, and I could have made it the diversion maybe 5 or 10 degrees to the left, so like a 250 heading, and that would probably have been a lot more accurate, but overall it was okay. We caught it by finding the lake and the highway, and we followed the highway right to Shediac. Boom. Alright, let's head back to the airport. We made it. Okay. Let's add a little more degree of difficulty here. We're gonna go. We're gonna lower the ceiling to 1,800. We're gonna add some rain if I can too. We'll also add some winds. So we're gonna go ahead. The winds are actually 20 gusting 25. Heading of 288. That'll be kind of straight down the runway. Oh shoot. Yeah, we want the wind straight down the pipes because 290, 292. That should be good enough. And let's bring back the visibility a bit. We're now marginal VFR. I think we were the whole time. 4.1 statute miles. Let's add a little bit of rain. Light rain. Light storm. This is going to be, yeah, weather really crapped out. We'll see how we do. So before I do that, I'm going to look at my map. That highway, I'll show you guys on my map here. Sec. See this highway here? That's the highway we're going to use to navigate. And that's going to bring us right to runway 24, unless Tower gives us different headings based on what he wants. But this highway, we're already kind of in his control zone. We're right at the edge. And yeah, let's go and let's head back home. So Tower, November 172 Sierra Papa, over Shediac, 1,600 feet. We were talking to him already. We're now looking to make a full stop. He says, Roger, okay, winds are 290, 20 gusting 25. You're clear to full stop landing on runway 29er. Clear to land. He says follow the highway inbound, we'll say. Great. So we'll follow the highway in. Weather's really crapping out here. Remember, we're VFR, right? We're a VFR flight here. Let's add some more rain. Let's add some more rain. Let's go to moderate rain. A good habit too, good VFR pilot, you're gonna be looking around. It's like, what if the engine cut off right now? We had some type of challenge, where would you go, right? You wanna start thinking, well, I'd probably hit, if I had an engine failure right now, I'd be hitting straight to, probably landing on the highway. Would you wanna land into traffic or with traffic, right? These are things you wanna consider, think about. I'd land with the traffic. I wouldn't wanna do it ongoing, because that would not be good. I can't go any lower than circuit altitude, and I should be a little bit higher. Okay, tower says cleared to base for runway 29er. Base and final, and we're number 2, follow the King Air on short final. Cleared the base, runway 29er. So we're turning on base and final. There's a King Air landing. Once I know I could safely glide to the runway, I'll bring the power back and set up for landing configurations. And I didn't get the updated ATIS, but that's okay. On approach, you'd want to, back out there, we could have got the updated ATIS. Mixture's full rich, landing light on. We'll put the landing light on as well. Yeah. Let's just go get the ATIS now. So if you, it's good to get the ATIS before entering the control zone, but let's go ahead and get it before landing. Wait, I would be doing this on another, I'd be doing this on here.
Error. Error. Error.
Oh, once I unpause it, it will. So ideally, you'd want to be on. You wouldn't be getting the ATIS this close on the short final. Let's skip it. We don't need ATIS. At this point, we'll just land. What does this do? LSQ all. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Radar Moncton INTL information Tango. 2000 Zulu weather. Wind 290 at 20. Visibility 4. Rain. Sky conditions 1600 overcast. Temperature 14. 2.11. Altimeter
Error.
2992. Arriving and departing
Error.
runway 29.
I got all this screwed up right now.
Advise on initial contact you have Tango.
Error. 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 Error.
Okay, we're gonna make the runway now, so I'm gonna bring the power back. Oh crap, this is a little off. So we're pretty high right now. I bring the power back. Full flaps. Good, full flaps. And I would even maybe do a forward slip at this point. So the reason we want to wait to set up our approach before we know we can make... Actually, I'm not going to explain that right now. It's too much. Information overload, right? Flaps and power. We're bringing it back now. And I don't know if we're going to... So sticking to the wind. The winds are 290. Slipping turn, slipping turn. Let's see if I can do it. So we'll go 5. We're pretty high. I might have to overshoot. We can probably make it. Cessna with full flaps sinks. Sinks like a rock. Yeah, we'll make it. Oh, fuck. Look at our vertical speed indicator. We're dropping at about 900 feet per minute right now. Okay. Let's get this centered here. You know what? I'm gonna have to overshoot. This is not... Oh, you know what it is? My rudder. You gotta press 6 to straighten your rudder. See that? I had my rudder all the way to the end of the simulator. We'll overshoot. So basically, yeah, we'll just do a circuit and overshoot. Try that again. Actually, I'll just put the plane on chart final. We'll end that. So local map. There was our diversion. See that? That's cool. So Shediac was here. We wanted this track, but we got pushed over because of the winds. So we should have caught, I should have caught this lake, and I should have looked on the map and saw that we weren't, like, I should have basically, see this lake here? I should have been right over that lake on my map. That's where I kind of use that as a reference. I should have used like the tip of this area here. So I'll know for next time. This lake, and then boom. That would have been a little bit more direct. Okay, we're gonna go 3 nautical miles on short final for runway 29. We'll try that again. Another thing too, I should have had my headphones in because you guys can hear the volume of the game from 2 speakers, from the Yeti and from the game. I gotta make that note. We need headphones. Headset on. Okay, so we're gonna make the runway. Let's get the power back quickly here. 1 notch of flaps right away. Once we're in the white, we'll go full flaps. You want to bring the power back and set up your landing configuration when you know you can make the runway. That's basically what you want to do. In case you do have an engine failure on final, then you can glide and make the runway, right? If you start setting up for final and bringing the power back and going low to the ground early on, then if you get the engine failure, you're going to miss the runway, right? You might hit the trees on short final. I'm also going to land a little bit farther down the runway just for airmanship. We're coming in a little fast here. It's gonna the airspeed. Okay, brakes. Slow down. Ah, I need rudders. Can't control the plane. Crazy. Okay, let's get off the runway. Ah! The brakes are on. So as soon as you land, you want to expedite off the runway as quickly and safely as possible because there could be another airplane coming to land. And if you stop on the runway and you land, then the tower's going to be upset. I'm going to take the winds off so I can taxi properly. Okay. Okay, so without talking to the controller, get off the runway. Cross the taxi line. And then you can put the brakes here. And then I'll switch over to Moncton Moncton grounds. November 162 Sierra Papa is on
Error.
Taxiway Bravo, looking to go to the college.
Error.
And he says clear to the college. Follow the yellow lines, taxiing. Okay, I'm going to start a big checklist of all the things I need to get to make these videos better. And we'll keep improving little by little. Turn the plane here. Park and brake on. Let's shut down the plane. So, flaps up, transponder to standby. We turn it off. Landing light off. Avionics off, electricals off. Transponders on standby, land light is off, parking brake off, electrics off, throttles to 1,000. I'm going to record my time down as well. So my time down is 9:35. Here's my pen. 9:35. And my hop stop, I'd record that when the